Hi, scholars. I am here to go over our Thursday journaling with you. I heard yesterday from Mrs. D that you had a fantastic Zoom learning some mystery science with Doug, and it looks like you went over 3 different animals. You learned about a quail, you learned about a woodpecker, and you also learned about a raccoon. So today for our journal writing, I want you to pick one of the 3 animals that you learned about, and we're going to do a little bit of informational writing focusing on key details. So remember, key details are the most important things that you learned about the quail, some most important things that you learned about the woodpecker, and most important things that you learned about a raccoon. So remember, key details can be like what they can do, their looks, like how do they look like, or information about their habitat, or about also maybe like their movement, because I remember from the video Doug was talking about different ways that each of these animals can move. So we're going to focus on the key details of one of the animals today. So when you do your writing today, I want you to pick one, and I think Mrs. Chin is going to pick the quail. So today for my writing, I'm going to focus on Mr. Quail. Okay, so remember, what we always do as good writers is that our illustrations are just as important as our words. Remember, you are an illustrator and an author. So I'm going to first start off with my quail. So here's my quail's wing. And then I'm going to draw my quail's kind of his eye and head. And there's his eyeball and the little feather thing that sits on top, and his little beak and his big body, okay? And his little fast feet, because it said that quails are very fast runners. So I'm going to draw like a little path for my quail in its natural habitat. So where do you think the natural habitat would be for a quail? I'm trying to kind of make it look like a rough dirt road. Do you think it's the ocean? No, I kind of think it's more like the forests or the woods. So I'm going to draw in some trees to show that Mr. Quail here lives in the forest or the woods. Okay, and I learned from the video that quails, they can use their beaks to dig in the dirt, and I can probably assume that when quails are digging in the dirt, they are looking for different types of bugs or insects to eat. So I'm going to draw like a little worm here that the quail can pick up and slurp up and eat for lunch. Okay, so now that I have my picture here done for my quail, maybe I'll draw another wing here to show that quails can flap. They talked about how it has wings in the video. So the first thing I want to do today is I'm going to give you some information that I learned about the quail from watching Mystery Science with Doug. So I'm going to first talk about the type of animal that this is. And so a quail is what do you think? I agree, it's a bird because it has wings and a beak, right? So quails are birds. Okay, so that's one thing that we want to talk about as a key detail. Another key detail that you might want to mention is where quails can live. So I'm going to say they live in the woods. Okay, so that's key detail number 2. Key detail number 3, I want to talk about some things that I learned from Doug from the video. So I learned that quails can run fast. Okay, so quails run fast. And I'm going to change quails, which is a noun to a pronoun. So the correct pronoun to use for quails could be they, or I could also use a different one called it. So I'm going to say it can dig with its beak. Okay, now if I wanted to include one more sentence about a key detail about quails, I could talk about its appearance and how it looks, right? So when we compare quails to other birds, are they big or are they small? Are they brightly colored or are they more brown and natural looking? I kind of think they're called more natural looking because they're camouflaged so that in the forest, maybe predators can't find them as easily. So I'm going to flip my writing over because I've ran out of room. And on the back, I'm going to write about the colors of the quails, okay? So quails are small birds. And then I'm going to talk about the color, okay? And they are brown. Okay, so now I'm going to go back into my writing and I'm going to see if I can identify all my key details from today's writing. Okay, so first one, quails are birds. That's a key detail. Okay, they live in the woods. Here's another key detail talking about habitats. Quails run fast. That's another key detail because I'm telling you what they can do. It can dig with its beak. So digging and the beak is another key detail, another can-do fact. So can do. Here's another one, can do. This one's about the habitat. And this one's kind of like the big idea to tell you what kind of animal this quail is. And then when I flip it over, I'm going to check and it says quails are small birds. They are brown. So this is again another detail about quails. So today's scholars, remember, we're really going to focus on one of these three animals that you learned about in Mystery Science. And we want to focus on the key details about each of these animals. Now, if you want to write about two of these animals or all of them, you're welcome to. But for today's journaling, I just want you to pick one. Remember, scholars, you don't have to have line paper just like Mrs. Chin. You can write on whatever you have at home. And when you're done, please take a picture of it and upload it to Seesaw because I am enjoying all this writing that I see from my scholars. So everyone is being such an excellent writer and I am super proud of all my friends. So thanks for listening, scholars, and I cannot wait to read all about your animals.